Hi friends, it's Unicorn and happy summer. As we all know, it is an extremely hot summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. A lot of the countries and places are experiencing extreme heat waves, and that all remind us that indeed climate change is a very real thing and is already impacting us right now. With that being said, the weather kind of reminds me of some books that for one reason or another are associated with summer in my mind. So today I have a list of recommendations for books and stories to read during the summer. Some of the stories has characters that are as passionate as summer sunlight, and some of them has younger protagonists like children or teenager. Because I don't know about you, but I always connect summer with a person's teenagehood or childhood because let's all face it, it was the time where we can enjoy summer or all the other days to its fullest. And some of the books set in very hot days when the characters are not able to be very active, so they're just plodding around. Now think about that. I don't know if it's a good idea to read about stories set in very hot summers during this summer, so be sure to grab a cool drink when you're reading them. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the books. The first book is the book that inspired the whole video, and it is The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. This is a historical fiction mixed in with some mystery, and is set in a small English town during the suffocating heat wave in 1976. In this little town, everybody knows everybody, and in this very hot summer, Mrs. Chrissy in the community went missing, and people kind of blamed the heatwave for that. But there are two 10-year-old girls in the community who are not convinced by that reason, so they are Grace and Teddy, and Grace and Teddy set themselves on the mission to uncover the truth behind the disappearance of Mrs. Chrissy. And they went door to door to uncover the truth about the disappearance and also the truth about the story that the community has been hiding. This is a very lovely story. Compared to investigating on the disappearance of Mrs. Chrissy, the townspeople's psychological activity is more exciting. They kind of each know a little something, but they choose to hide what they know, or they just simply don't talk about it. So compared to the disappearance, there's also one secret that the whole town is keeping together. I really like the portraying in the book of the small English town back in the days. It's very sweet and cozy despite the subject matter, and I also like the writing about the two little protagonists. They are just so cute. However, this book is definitely a slow burn. It reminds me of those summer when you don't really have a lot of energy due to the very hot weather and you just want to do very little things and wandering around in town. So this is a book that I think about every summer after I read it, and a perfect summer read, if you will. The second book here is a very delightful book and is set over the course of one summer, so it's another perfect summer read. It's Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. Mary Jane is a 14-year-old girl who lived in a very strict household in 1970s in Baltimore, America. She has all the standards she has to live up to because she's a girl due to the very traditional parents of hers. She loves to cook and also takes care of the family just like her mother. And on this summer, she found a respectful job that is approved by her parents, which is to be a nanny of the daughter of a local doctor. But what her parents didn't know is that this household of a doctor may look respectful on the outside, but is so chaotic in the inside. A lot of the times, the household of the doctor is just a literal mess, and Mary Jane tries her best to take care of everyone, and she also made some friends who has very vibrant personalities, including the patients of the doctors, including a rock star and also his wife. The contrast between the very traditional and strict bring up of Mary Jane and also the very disordered and very go with the flow kind of lifestyle in the doctor's household sparked a lot of interesting activities during this summer. And Mary Jane and her new friend kind of opened windows and doors to each other, and thus created a whole new world for each other. And for Mary Jane specifically, because she's a teenager, she was able to see much more possibilities in life. I read this book last year shortly after it released, and I found the whole story very charming. The collapse of two two completely different worlds creates many tension and conflict, but also create a lot of beautiful events and moments in the story. And in the end, I found it's a very uplifting coming of age story that is great for a summer relaxing day. The next book that I think is great for summer is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I'm sure at this point everyone has heard about this book. This is the latest release of Sally Rooney. This book follows four people. Alice, who is a very successful young writer, she moves to a very small town to get away from everything and also get inspired for her writing. And she met Felix, who is a warehouse worker. Alice keeps a habit of exchanging long emails with her best friend who lived in Dublin, and her best friend just went through a breakup and slipped back into the old habit of flirting with Simon, who is a guy that she knows since teenagehood. The four of them care about the world. They kind of also worried about the world and also worry about their real life, and they kind of chased by life, and also they admire each other but also push each other away. The story is really about being young adult in a true Sally Rooney fashion. I actually had a conversation with a friend who has just finished this book, and we agree on that although Sally Rooney's characters may seem very dramatic, but they're also very relatable and realistic psychological wise, but also because we are day-to-day people, so we don't necessarily show every piece of our emotions in our life. So that's why Sally Rooney's characters are also very distant from our real life, because not many people can be as dramatic as those characters. But that's also what drew me into her stories. I just loved her portraying of characters and their inner activities and everything about being young people in the world and worried about everything. I feel like the amount of relatability and distance are well balanced in the story, and everything sometimes feel very close to home. In general, I feel like every Sally Rooney's book is perfect for summer because almost all of her characters are very passionate about life, about work. They try to figure out things, but that can also cause a lot of confusion, just like the very powerful energy of summer and its drawbacks. And also this book was released in late summer, and also it was released on a very special date of me, so yeah, I just really like this book. The next story I have here really brings out the laziness of summer. That is mostly because the character decided to sleep for a year. And that book is My Year of Relax and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. I had the book somewhere in my apartment, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know, but I'm sure I purchased it because I really liked the story. I borrowed it from the library first and decided to get a physical copy where I can't find. So like I said, the protagonist of the story decided to hibernate for a year. She is a very pretty young woman who recently graduated from Columbia University, and she works in a very easy job and she never needs to worry about money. However, she has every trouble a 20-something years old could have. She always feels a hollow in her heart, although she lives in the most hopeful year of 2000 and she lives in the most glamorous city of New York City. So she tries to duck all the troubles of the world by trying to hibernate for a whole year long, hence the rest part of the title. However, the earth didn't stop turning when she's go into hibernation, so we follow her story and learn about herself and also the people around her and also all the events. And we also see a lot more than she wants to admit and she wants to show us. The ending of the book was such a highlight in the story, and it wraps everything up beautifully, and I think I will forever remember it. Although the story is set over the course of a whole year, but the whole vibe of the book is really a hot summer afternoon when we just want to detach ourselves with the world and also hide in the shade for the whole time. Then I have here a story that I read a couple of years ago and I loved it so much, but I didn't have enough chance to talk about it. It's My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman and translated by Henning Koch. This is my introduction to Fredrik Backman's writing. A lot of people know him from A Man Called Ove, but this was my first novel of his, and I just so happy that I started with this one because I love the story so dearly. This is about a 7-year-old girl called Elsa. Her grandmother has this reputation of being the crazy lady in the neighborhood, but her grandmother is Elsa's only and best friend, and Elsa loves to listen to her grandmother telling all the fairy stories. When Elsa's grandmother dies, she left behind a series of letters to apologize to all the people she has wronged in her life, and Elsa was set on this mission to deliver every letter. And this is when Elsa met so many different people, including monsters, drunks, attack dogs, and some very perfectly normal people. And this is also when Elsa learns the truth behind all the fairy tales. This is a very wholesome story, and I always enjoy Fredrik Backman's writing when it comes to elderly people, small children, or awkward people, and this book has them all. And one character specifically called Brad Murray actually got her own spring dance novel called Brad Murray Was Here, and I love that also. So if you have time, you can read both of the books, but in this video, I'm just recommending this one. Second to the last of the story kind of has a hair of sadness in it, and it's a story set in Sri Lanka, which is a country has tropical climate, so it's basically hot all year long, and I think that's why it's associated with summer in my mind. And it's Funny Boy by Shyam Selvadurai. This is another coming-of-age story talking about a boy who tries to learn about the world and also make sense of his own sexuality by observing all the events happened in his family, between his family members, as well as experiencing all the things himself. The story was set during Sri Lanka's Civil War when the tensions between Tamil and Shihana increased drastically. So the book has a very rich historical background, and we can learn quite a bit about Sri Lanka for that historical period. I like the curiosity of the protagonist, and because we follow him over a couple of years since his childhood, so the thing was on his mind, and also the event he went through gradually became more and more complicated. And I like that because that gave us a great pacing of learning about Sri Lanka and also about the society. I read this book during the Sri Lanka month, which is 2 months ago, for the From and About Asia reading project, and on that time, there's an ongoing political crisis in Sri Lanka, which is still continuing right now. If you want to learn more about it, I'll link some resources down below about all the information and also how we can help. The last book is a recent read of mine. It is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante and translated by Ann Goldstein. This is a beloved book already, and it is the first book in the Neapolitan novel series. The whole series follows 2 friends, Elena and Lila, and this first book covers their childhood up to their early teenagehood. A lot of their childhood are spent in school, and a lot of things are happening in school and also the time after school. And there are many eventful summer breaks too. I think for that reason, this book just screams summer to me. There are not enough praises that I can say about this book. It's both character-driven and plot-driven, and I just want to say, go read it. You don't really need to know too much about it. It's just a wonderful book, and I have to say that I liked how the title was plotting in the story. It's quite a surprise to me, but I love it. So please read it. I'm also now in the middle of the second book, The Story of a New Name, and honestly, I cannot put it down. Every time I have to do something else to put down the novel, I'm just like, it feels torture to me. And that's all the books I have in this recommendation. I hope you found 1 or 2 books that interest you. If you have any more books that you think about summer every time when you are thinking about the book, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, please share any thoughts you have about these books. And don't forget to say hi in the comment section as well. Thumbs up to this video if you liked it. I wish you happy reading, stay healthy, stay safe, stay cool, and I'll see you in my next bookish video. Bye!